You know, surprisingly, some bastards have been dumping bloody mattresses here. I just thought I'd show this. This is, holy cow, the air is clear. Like, if I thought the air was fresh at my place, I didn't know shit. Holy smoke, it's beautiful. This is a property that I have been past a couple of times. Trees are very dense. Bushfire came through here a few years ago, but they're absolutely so thick that you can't even see the soil that they're on. Back there's a big pile. I used to think back there was like a reservoir, and I can't even tell where the soil is without having to walk in to that area. But I might go back and have another look, get out and go for a walk. This here looks a bit of a ramshackle shitstorm. But before the bushfires, and before all this come back here, because a lot of these trees, as you can see, they're only very thin, sort of young stuff that's only a few years old. There was an actual, like a shed and basically an old caravan here. Of course, the fires come through and given a hell of a beating to the posts. But it used to be reasonably clear. And there's the little tricks that the local government does, and probably what they've done is, this is a mining area, but it's sort of inside like a state park or state forest, technically. And back in the mining days, of course, people, you know, obviously settled on this land. The miners moved on, but these people decided to stay. Either they, you know, found work nearby or just tried to get out the last remains of the more difficultly obtained gold, or worked in sheep farming or some other local industry. And what has happened in recent years, the local government is trying to basically get rid of all these small little settlements. Now this guy probably has, it's like 5 acres or something in all this. The fence goes a little bit further, but he doesn't have very deep in. It was rather more of a wide place. It was probably only 80 metres, 100 metres in. And what they've probably done to him is not allow him a building permit to build another place after this shed and caravan and a bit of a ramshackle old joint burnt down in the bushfires. Now there was another property that I was really considering buying, and these roads, like they go, as you see, they go right through all the forest and everything. And there's some of the roads from when the mines were in here, and there was actually, well, this one's on the way to a saw pit apparently. They had a sawmill operating here after the gold disappeared, and that's probably what these guys done. They were probably forestry workers, and that's, you know, why they ended up basically here for the long term, to the point that they actually own this land that's right in the middle of what's otherwise a state forest. And there's another place I was looking at buying, and it was like, I was probably only like, what was it now? It was like 9 acres or something, I can't remember. It's a few acres anyway. $25,000, and I thought, holy smoke, stuff it. I'll just go get a loan extension, another 25 grand, I'll get a second property. But see, all these roads, some of them have, especially the ones that don't have any gravel, especially ones that are just plain dirt, have gates on the front with locks on them that says like forestry management staff only, you know, almost like only government vehicles sort of thing. There's a bit of a standardised phrase they use on these signs. And that particular property was actually up one of those roads that had the gate on. So what the bastard's done, he tried to sell it. He was trying to hang on to it. And the local government was trying to reabsorb it into the state forest, or the state was pushing the local government to try and get people out. And what they done was they locked the blasted gate. And so you had your 9 acres or whatever in there, but you had to walk like half a mile in on foot, and you could only get shit in on foot. Could you imagine trying to build a place, even trying to get a camper in there? You couldn't get it in there without angle grinding the bloody lock off, which is probably what you'd have to do. But then there'd be hell to pay because they'd know, because they'd see the damn camper. And, you know, these people, you know, they don't give a shit about any privacy notices. They'll jump the fence and walk straight into your place, and that's the way the local government agents are here. But it was only on the market for a few weeks, and I inquired about it. Like about a week or so after I saw it disappear, and I said, what happened? That was only up for a couple of weeks. And she said, well, what's happened is the person who's trying to sell it has decided not to, because it's almost an unusable property, because you can't actually drive into it, and you've got to walk in on foot. On top of that, there was another guy who was literally living in a state forest and bought a property on the back of a state forest that's ran, not this one, but another one further up that's still inside the same local government area of control. And he was living for, like 7 years? No, 10 years inside the state forest, then bought a place adjoining the state forest, and he was on there for 7 years since he bought this place. 2 caravans, like 2 campers, big piece of tarp between the 2 of them, big bunch of solar panels. He was running a fridge and the whole lot. Like, I'm talking a mains-powered fridge, full-size one with a freezer in it and the whole lot off-grid. And they just come in and decided at the drop of a hat with no consultation that they were going to make a law that said that you cannot camp on the vacant property you own for any more than 6 weeks. And after 7 years of being there, they tried to boot this dude off with like something like 4 weeks notice or 8 weeks notice, and he was like, where in the hell am I supposed to go? And he said, here we are with the entire world promoting a green lifestyle, and you know, you got all these UN bloody things to lower carbon output and all this. And he said, you know, I've been a greenie for years, and here I am doing what people dream of, dramatically reducing my carbon footprint, and all the big organisations, United Nations, the Australian government, the whole lot are all going into it. And what do these bastards do? They kind of kick me out of my arse and force me to live in a friggin' rented property in the middle of the city, you know. This is the thing, you know, they sort of... but it's all an agenda to get anybody who did have a land holding in this state forest to basically fuck off. But I'll tell you what, it'd be beautiful living here, except for the bushfires. No shortage of firewood. Literally, well, that's 2 trees. That there's alive, that there, and that there's dead. And you know, like you've seen before, kangaroos hopping around, you got bird life like you would not believe. I've seen birds in here that actually nest in a hole in the ground. You know, wildflowers, is like these little ones up there that look sort of like, like a, almost like a daffodilly looking thing. I might show some in a while. Beautiful little things, like little snapdragons. Reminds me, I've still got to show you all the West Australian ones too that I've acquired from someone. A whole shitstorm of photos of some of the masses and masses of wildflowers in Western Australia. Some other little things too. Anyway, let's go find some bees. I remember this plant from Western Australia. A very hard looking nut there. A lot of prickles, which actually aren't that bad. And yeah, you can actually roast those and you get this bizarre little walnut flavoured seed that comes out. It's only a tiny seed that comes out the middle. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're poisonous or not. What I do know is, I mentioned it to a bushcraft bloke during a school camp. And yeah, he cut one open. I think we actually roasted it on the fire, and It didn't taste too bad at all. Still don't know what the plant's called. Probably find out it's something the Aboriginals knew about inside out and back to front. It's basically solid wood, those nuts. They're very bloomin' dense. Holy smoke, camera's not doing this justice. That is like those bizarre flatworms I get at my house. Now usually they dry out within minutes of being exposed, but it's not exactly full sun and they've had a little bit of rain here. He's just moving along. And you can see how good the colour was. God blimey. It's like a bright yellow. I've got a few of those at my house, but not quite that long. That is all wood fungi. Look at how small it is. Each of those is like a miniature mushroom. That is remarkable. We should say amazing. There's more up here too. See if we can get that better in the light. Yeah, I should have bought me a good camera. Well, I got up this big ridge anyway, and I always thought it was a damn wall, but I'm flipping wrong. It's just bloody steep hill. Nothing on the other side. Down below they've got a bit of a gap for a creek to run through or something. Yeah, unfortunately, this has been a bit more disappointing than expected. You have to be careful of these. That's actually all caterpillars all stuck together. They're most likely spitfires. I've had these in my driveway once before. They spit out acidic shit and get you in the eye, then you're in real trouble. They bunch up together to confuse birds, and if you poke them with a stick they sort of all dance in unison as the stick touches them. It's sort of strange. I might see if I can do it actually. Okay. Use the big end of the stick and hold the little end yourself. Look, it'll jump out, fearing it's coming. Now, if you saw that, the whole lot of them all moved out together in unison. Again. So the ones on the right side are moving out in unison with that one on the left side. It's a bit hard to see. That's sort of pretty bizarre. They're sort of all working together when something touches them. That's all the heads, all the black heads down the bottom, all facing one way. There's a few facing the opposite way. Here the slate comes right to the surface. Sort of seam around that direction. This, of course, is gold mining country. Bugger if I can ever find any though. There were really rich seams underground, but people say, oh, there's nothing on the surface. Well, the fact is that some of the local people can get into these local creeks and actually pan some out of it. So it's around. Even the... well, I probably shouldn't say this, but... no, there's no harm, I suppose. My great-grandfather, the river that's near my house, he used to go down to that every time the farm was having a bit of hard luck, a bit of drought, whatever. And he'd go down and pan out enough gold to come back and keep the farm going and then keep stuffing around farming. If that had any sense, he would have just kept going in for the gold. And right up until the 1960s, I think it was till like 1968 or something, or it might have been 62, somewhere in the 60s anyway, these two old brothers used to hang around, basically live down against the river at the bottom of my house, like, not the bottom of my house, but down below my parents' neighbour's property. They've got a river frontage, and they used to mine gold, and they kept getting this gold out right through until the 60s. Not massive amounts, but there was enough to live off. And even one of the local farmers' kids was walking along beside one of these rivers here, and just sort of come along and just went boom, and just kicked a rock, and as the rock spun over, there's freaking gold in it. And I got this decent lump of gold. I mean, it wasn't huge, but oh hell, you know, it was still like, oh shit, $250 worth or something like that, you know, in this little rock sort of thing, all just by walking along and just brushing a few with their feet like that, and over it turned, and bingo, gold on the back of it. So it's around, but I'm stuffed if I can find even so much as a little speck to put on the end of my finger, which is a bit unfortunate. I've sort of tried sometimes with the trees here, old ones like this. What'll happen is they'll fall over, and as they fall over, there's all this ground that gets unearthed, and so I'll sort of look on the roots of the tree that's overturned and muck around a bit like that. You still can't find a damn thing. And some of these trees, like these ones, aren't very old, but there's some that are absolutely massive. I mean, they're not that width, they're like friggin' right out here somewhere, you know, they're massive. And I figure that they were growing before the gold miners turned up in the 1800s, and that on the roots of those there would have to be bits of gold, but no, I can't find any. But I'm just going on the premise that, you know, they've been around prior to the people even digging for the gold, and they've obviously survived that. And if they had been digging at the roots, it probably would have made the tree topple over 100 years ago, you know, and killed the tree then. But if it's been left that entire time, there's a chance that it'll have some stuck on its roots. But nope, I am wrong. But anyway, it's been a bit of a flop. I had hoped to show you a lot more. But I'll see if I can show you a couple other things. The car's just parked over to the right there, but this was this creek thing that I thought was an overflow of some kind for what I assumed. You can sort of see it as the sky comes there, but that's the great big hill that I was up just before. Interestingly enough, it's a bit trampled. That is liverwort. I used to see that at my other property up near the wind farm that I sold, and at the nursery. It can only live in shade. It's a bizarre sort of a pond-looking plant or something. It's very weird. You can look it up, but it's you don't often see it at all, actually. So I thought I'd just point it out, even though it looks like a kangaroo might have been standing on it. It's a little bit of a hole back there. Don't know if that's one as well, just got a bit of dirt on the surface there. But we're still on the bed of the creek, but yeah, there's the occasional decent hole. And you know, I'm not the only one that thinks of there might still be gold in some of these creeks. And some people obviously, find stuff. They come up through here with metal detectors. This place is like trolled with metal detectors, more or less. Yeah, there's another one there. They've obviously got one closer to the surface. Sometimes, you know, it's just old bits of bloody nails and crap. But other times, I believe people do hit it lucky. In fact, up past where my old property was, 3 guys ripped out a nugget worth $130,000, And this is only like 2 years ago. But they had to shut up about it because one of them was going through a divorce. And the wife got the house and all the shit, and then, bada bing, magically, oh, guess what? It didn't matter a shit because he had plenty of money when he took his share of $130,000. And, but he had to finalise his divorce before they made it public. So these three guys shut up about it for, holy smoke, it was like a year and a half or something. Yeah. There's one day I should snoop up through here, but a lot of it, you know, you're looking at places that have been gone over that many damn times. But the strange thing is with metal detecting, you can go over it the umpteenth time. I've heard of people going over the same spot 3 times, 3 years in a row when they go on holidays, and all the 3 times they find gold every time in the same spot. And it's a bit sort of weird, and these are places we're talking about out in the desert, not places like this where they may actually get a bit of water in there. Yeah, anyway, I might head on. It's starting to get a little bit dark. Well, it's sort of getting dark, but unlike usual, we can actually see stuff still with this camera. Bunch of bricks. Very crappy looking brick wall of some kind. No big deal, so what? What is all this? I know exactly what this is. Oh! Tell you what that is too. That's mistletoe. Tree there. It all flanges out and it's mistletoe. I actually had a bit at home and put in the wood heater because my uncle used to snoop around these areas getting firewood. Well, not exactly right on in this forest, but sort of the back end of this forest. Now what we're going up here is a slag heap. And I can guarantee you there is almost a guarantee of no gold in this stuff. Why? Because this is a big pile of all the stuff they threw out of the mine. And it is a reasonable pile. And it is rather skinny and long. And yet again I may be wrong. Because it looks like somebody might have found something in amongst a slag heap. So they didn't have metal detectors in the 1800s. They could only just look at the stuff. And, well, seems as though some people may have been finding a bit of stuff with metal detectors. This is rather high, as you'll see in a second. Yeah, like really high. We are up. Holy smoke. Quite a few metres here. A few car lengths. A couple of car lengths anyway. That sort of goes down into a bit of a gorge, so it makes it look a little bit deeper, but hey, we're easy up, flaming 15 metres here. 12, 15 metres. It's not so steep because the hill goes down on an angle like that. Now you can be assured that not too far from here, like maybe right there, is where the actual mine was. And I might just try and go over there. That's where I was. This is where I am now. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's anything here. Just creep up to the end here. Sometimes you really don't find where the damn mine is. Sometimes you do, but it's sort of a little bit hidden by a few tree branches. And some of them, especially the ones close to the town, the little township that developed from all this, they actually deliberately cover them around with fences, like fence them off basically. And it looks like a fair trench that's been whacked into there. Probably one of these things somewhere. some of them, people come out here bushwalking and they stuff up and they go right down them, and I mean right down, dropping so deep they're lucky to get out. So, yeah, I'm not really seeing any real solid signs. Digging and mucking around down there. Yeah. Like I said, it's not terribly easy to find these things all the time. There are many humps of dirt here, there and everywhere. There's another one over there. I could piss around for 20 minutes. Still not find anything. Oh. That looks a little bit sus. Yeah, there's a big rock. That could be something that's caved in. That's what it looks like. Looks surprisingly like. Which is why I don't really want to go too much further. Some of these ones, you know, weather, time, and there may be some of those even back there, they effectively just cave in on themselves, and that could be the answer to where the mine is that's created all these piles, that the front of it's caved in, and that really looks like a possibility of one there that's caved in. Sorry if this is boring the shit out of you. You notice it's real sparse, real thin. Everything's just small. Well, most of it. It's just all the bushfires. And I can just about put money on it. That would be another one right there. It's hard to see all this. Just sort of, and that's the way a lot of them are. Especially ones in the town. It's not like a gradual thing where they go inside. They just got a hole, and I mean it just drops straight vertical. And yeah, often they have a good idea where the seam is or whatever, and then they just go. And this is quite likely to be one here that's slightly caved in, but I mean they've got sticks falling down there and everything. They're not really very big, the entrances. And even the ones back near the town, you know, the entrance in one of the biggest ones is probably only double the size of this. You know, well, maybe sort of out sort of like about that size. And that's, you know, entrance to one of the big ones. And the amount of people that used to go down some of these, you think, holy smoke, how do they do anything with an entrance like that? But, yeah, it's almost like you have, say this is your seam here, underground, and the earth is up here somewhere. They just sort of slam one in here and then drop another one through somewhere else, another one, and they hope they get it about on line to where it is. But you've got to remember that back in the day, you know, they did have primitive surveying equipment, and they had a lot of methods that are just, you know, skilled people could use that today's people just go and use an iPhone app to go and get pretty much directly to where the seam was by just sinking in holes from above. You know, and if they didn't get it spot on, well, they could always just dig left and right. But I think that's a few, at least 2 holes there I've shown that are just caved in ones and whatnot. But yeah, there's coals over there, and I could go for ages following all these stupid piles of dirt. But anyway, that's a slag heap. Yeah, this is the one I was at before. I can almost guarantee this has been one of the main entrances that's just sort of caved in. Reason being, you've got a big heap of rock here, and yet they've just gone straight into the side of it. And, you know, there's quite a drop down, which means this didn't happen by nature, it was deliberately. So this is probably one of their main entrances, and those other 2 holes I showed back there are likely to be your ones where they actually lift the gold-bearing stone to the surface. And yeah, Anyway, I think that just about wraps it all up. Look who we have watching us here. Look at all the dots. There's only about a lousy over 50 kangaroos right about there. Most of them are little baby ones. I cannot believe it. Unfortunately, due to my shit camera, it's hard to see, but I really shouldn't be parking in the middle of the road, but this is a terrible road. Flipping heaps of them. In the background there, overhead water tank anyway. I'm parked in the middle of the road, so I better keep going.